What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the fighting game tutorial series. So we've been going over a lot of cleanup in our game to prepare for rollback netcode, online play, more AI, story mode, and kind of our final features that we want to put into this series. So we've been going over the animation blueprint pretty heavily, and I really enjoyed doing that. I'm going to swap back to the character blueprint for a little bit here. Remember, we're kind of working in tandem because as we clean some things up in the animation blueprint, we can then clean up some things that we had in our character blueprint, and when we clean up some things in our character blueprint, we can also clean up things in our game mode blueprint. So we're kind of just managing these three all together right now and just making them better. Not only cleaner, but also more efficient and more scalable. At this point, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot, so I'm switching back to the character blueprint to clean up a few things, and specifically I want to clean up the way we do our interactions of menus. So we do some of this in our character blueprint. For example, our pause menu and our command list menu, these inputs actually come from our character blueprint instead of our player controller, even though we have everything set up to come from the player controller. So we really should make sure that that is working as intended from the proper spot. So instead of coming from the base character blueprint, we just want to send a command in our player controller and be able to navigate these menus just like we can our regular menus. We use our regular menus here with our player controllers, but the reason that these in-game menus were a little bit different from our player controller is at the time of creating them, we had our character here and we didn't have all our backend set up for our player controller. So what we had to do was send inputs from the player controller to the game, and the game would then reroute these inputs to the proper menu. Since we've come much farther than that in the series, we now have a player controller which just sends inputs by default, and we can just send them here using this method. We don't have to have this character blueprint here trying to do that behavior for us. Again, we've already cleaned up all the menus in our game except for the ones that happen in play. So we're going to clean them up together today as well. That way every menu in our game is using our player controller instead of some hacky logic that we set up earlier in the series before we had everything we needed to set it up correctly. And this will also enable us to create other menus in the middle of play going forward without causing additional hacks or additional issues. If you want to get caught up to this series to check out how we've done everything in it, from our different types of attacks, our commands, our reactions, and a lot more, I'll link you to the top right corner right here, which is the entire fighting game tutorial series playlist. That has every episode to show you everything we've done in the series so far, and there's plenty more to come. If you're not interested in the entire series and you just want to see how to handle inputs on menus in the game or just on the main menu section all the same way, I can show you how to do that too through our improvements with the widgets and menus that we have. And I'll link you to the first one of those right here, and you can see how we linked all of our menus together through one input system. Now with all that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We already have the code set up for the most part to navigate our menus. We may have a few tweaks here and there based on what we remove today. The vast majority of the logic is going to be removing and replacing old blueprint logic with this new correct logic. First things first, let's go into our base character blueprint. For me, it's blueprints, character BPs, base character BP. And in here, we have to find the logic that I was referring to earlier, and it's this mess right here. I made a mess on purpose when we implemented this because I knew that we would be eventually refactoring this. So we have two sections in here, a menu down P1 and a menu up P1. We also have a menu confirm P1 in here and a menu return P1 that we can refactor as well. These ones aren't nearly as ugly, but they should be replaced with the proper method. And then we additionally have a gamepad menu scroll down. So let's start with the really big nasty ones, which are menu up and menu down P1. And their whole existence is because we wanted to be able to navigate our practice settings widget, our versus pause menu widget, and our command list widget in one place. The typical method of doing this was getting all widgets of class of a certain type, basically seeing if practice settings existed, if the player had brought it up, and if they did, performing logic on it, and if they didn't, checking to see if our next widget existed and then performing logic on it. This is pretty nasty. If we go into the code, so earlier I mentioned a variable in the player controller that tracks the current widget so that we know which widget to modify. So we want to go to our player controller, which for me is baseplayercontroller.cpp and baseplayercontroller.h. So in baseplayercontroller.h, we can see this variable called current widget, and it is just a widget pointer. So it's a pointer that is tracking whatever widget the player is controlling. And if we go to baseplayercontroller.cpp, you'll notice that we make calls using the current widget to our widget navigation interface so that we can perform movement on them. So menu left can move left on the widget as long as the widget implements this interface that we created. And same with up and down, which are specifically the ones that are in our character BP class. So as long as the current widget is set correctly to our pause menu, to our practice settings menu, to our command list, we will be able to modify and navigate those widgets. As I mentioned earlier, we had a whole episode to do that, so I'm going to relaunch, and I'm going to go back into base character BP. I want to go to that logic I was mentioning earlier, and now we can try just taking it out. Like, what happens if we just disconnect menu up, menu down? And you can try confirm and return too, but let's just focus on these ones for now. So if I come in here and I start playing around in my game, and I go to my pause menu, I come to my pause menu, I can't navigate this. Technically, I actually can with default Unreal navigation, but not with our game's input navigation. So if we come over to our world outliner over here, and we look at our player controller, which for me is base player controller, you can see this current widget variable that we have here, which is a pointer to the widget that the player is controlling. So as I'm navigating my screens here, you can see what widget we are on, and it is working as expected. Then when we pause the game, we go to the versus pause menu, and our current widget is correct. But we're not getting any sort of input values in here. And if we go to the widget itself and go to the class settings and look at the implemented interfaces, we have our widget navigation interface implemented, and we even have them here. So now if we relaunch and we go to our base player controller in the world outliner, let's check something else out. Let's search for pause. There's a button here, or a boolean, should perform full tick when paused, and this is disabled. So let's try coming into the game, enabling this option. So I'll pause the game and I will enable this option. We'll come over here and you'll see I can navigate my pause menu again. So when we don't have this enabled, it cuts back on what is being listened to. That way performance is enhanced. However, in this case with our pause menu, we want to be able to navigate our pause menu while the game is paused, because we're only ever going to reach this menu if the game is paused. So you'll notice that my base character BP has this stuff completely disconnected. And it literally can be. As long as we're doing the logic for these things in the widgets and we made sure that we did a full pass of all of our widgets, this means we don't need these anymore. We can get rid of menu down P1 and all the existing logic here, and menu up P1 and all the existing logic here. Again, we should be able to get rid of these ones as well, but let's make sure menu up and menu down P1 work first, because those are the big ones. And now if we come back into the game one more time, pause the game, go to my base player controller, 0, fully tick, I can navigate up and down. I should be able to go to my command list and navigate up and down, and I can. The other one would be our practice settings menu. So if I come into the game, but I'm in practice mode, and I go to my base player controller 0, and I allow full tick, and I go back into it, and I pause, I can navigate this. I should go to practice settings. And you can see that I can navigate this as well. So you can see this is all working as intended when we set that variable. So we'll have to make sure we set that in the code instead of setting it every time in this section. But let's go to the base character BP, and let's also remove menu confirm P1. So compile, save, menu confirm P1 is gone. I will go to my base player controller, enable this boolean, come into practice mode. I can pause my game, and I can go into any of these with this disconnected. I can return from my command list, and I should be able to go into practice settings, and there's nothing to confirm in here, but everything seems to be working there too. Now last case would be our return P1, so feel free to get rid of this one too. Compile and save, and that one is specific to our command list, so we can just go in and test our command list. So if I pause my game and go and enable this option on base player controller 0, go into the command list, I should be able to hit my return button, which you can find all your inputs for these things in edit project settings, and go to the input section. Go to action mappings, and I have menu up P1, I see up is W, menu down P1, down is S, menu confirm P1 is 1, and return P1 is backspace. I come in here, I can press backspace, and I go back to my pause menu. Then I press 1 to confirm, and I go back to my game as expected. So we already removed all that. There is the gamepad menu scroll down option here, which when we go into our code, if we scroll down, we don't actually have a section for this one yet. At this point, we want to go and add this functionality to our player controller, so we can go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, go down to Axis Mappings, and find our gamepad menu scroll down, or whatever we've called our scroll box behavior for this right here. Then we can come back into the base player controller and we can add an input binding for this. So you can copy one of these or you can just write a new one. I'll just write it from scratch, and we want input component bind axis. Then we need the name of our input axis to bind, which is our gamepad menu scroll down, and make sure you have it exactly right. You can copy it if you want. So gamepad menu scroll down, and then we don't have a pressed or a release like we do for input actions if you look at the ones above, because axes don't really have a press or release. What they do is they are constantly firing and grabbing the value of the input. So if it's not moving, it's just at a 0 value. But if it is moving, it will capture that value that the player has chosen. Then after that, we're going to type this, because this object or this base player controller is what we're going to be executing this logic on. And we want to call a base player controller and make a function for this, like menu scroll down. I think that's a good name for it, because it could be with a keyboard or a gamepad. It doesn't have to be with a gamepad like the input axis name is. And then we can go into our header file for the base player controller and scroll down to where we made these functions and make a new function for that menu scroll down. So U function blueprint callable if we want it to be. That way we can call it from the blueprint. And void menu scroll down. Now once we make this, it is pretty much ready, but our function itself won't be ready. We need to actually make the function in the CPP file. If we go down to where the functions are in here, we can come and put one for void, a base player controller, : menu scroll down. First thing we want to do is if current widget, just like our other widget navigation interface function calls. Because if there is no widget, we can't do anything with this information, but if there is a widget, then we can check to see if the widget implements the widget navigation interface. This is all something we've done in previous episodes of the series, so it's not a big deal. If you're not familiar with it, you can see how we do all of that logic in another episode for our widgets specifically. But we want current widget get class implements interface, and we're looking for the uWidget navigation interface static class. And if it does implement that interface, then we want to call a function on it. So iWidget navigation interface : execute under scroll down, and we're going to pass it the current widget, just like our other functions in the widget navigation interface. But we need to make this function for scrolling down. So if we open up our widget navigation interface.h and go down to the bottom here with our other functions, we can make another one that is uFunction, a blueprint implementable event, and blueprint callable. And we can call it void scroll down. Then back in the base player controller, this will be the function that we're actually calling, so that will work as expected. Make sure you spell it correctly. And at this point you could try and build, but there is actually a mistake that I made in here the first time I did this. So I went back to where I'm binding my input axis and I moved it together so I could take a look, and it was a silly mistake that I had made. I hadn't captured the value of the input axis. Unlike an input action, it's not just press or release like I was mentioning earlier, and we need to capture that value so we know how much scrolling we should do. So we need to go back to basePlayerController.h and go to our function, menu scroll down, and we need to add a float underscore value, or whatever you want to call the variable. I typically just call it underscore value, just like we do in move right and our other input axes. Then once we add this, make sure we add it back in the CPP file as well, and the input axis will send that value along as it's checking its input every frame. Now we'll be able to build and we can launch the editor. And there's another thing we're going to need to do, but we can set this up now so that we can test it out. So once we come back into the editor, we can look at our base character blueprint and make sure that we track all the widgets that we were handling in here, which for me is just the command list. So I can go to my widgets, menus, command list, go to the graph. We already implement that interface, as you can see by the other events here. So we can simply search for this new one, event, scroll down and grab it. Once we do this, we can call the event we were calling in character blueprint, which is move scroll box down. In the character blueprint, we were passing a value that was coming from the input axis, but in here we don't have that value because our event or our function in the widget navigation interface does not pass that value. So this is the last thing we need to add. So if we go back into the code, we can add this value as a parameter just like you would any function. So we can go back to the widget navigation interface, go to void scroll menu down or scroll down, and then add float underscore value in here. And then we can pass the value from the input axis to this function when we're calling execute on it in the base player controller. So we'll go back to base player controller, we'll pass in the value that was passed into menu scroll down, and then we'll launch again. Once the editor is back open, we can go to our command list widget, and we should see that our event that we have in here now has a value. This is the one that comes from the input axis, and we can pass this directly into the function. Now we can go back to base character blueprint after this and remove that logic for it, as we've fully replaced it with this player controller logic. So just get rid of that and then compile and save, and you are good to go. You've cleaned up your base character blueprint significantly, and we've made the runtime menus also work using the same method as the other menus in our game. If we go back to the code, and in the constructor or in begin play, we can set B should perform full tick when paused equals true. And I'll actually put this up at the top since this isn't one of the variables that we make, but one of the variables that exist in a player controller, and we can launch again with this. Then when we come back into our game here, we should be able to go to any of our menus that we were showcasing earlier. We won't need to change anything on base player controller, and then we can just come over here. I can navigate my pause menu, which is great. Should be able to go into my command list if I hit the right button, and then I can navigate this, which is excellent. I should be able to hit backspace to return and 1 to resume. Then I can return to the main menu, and I can go to practice, and I can pause in here and go to practice settings and navigate that menu. So just like that, we have removed a hack from our character blueprint and utilized the system that we set up from our player controller, and it is so much better. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on cleaning up your character blueprint and removing old logic that we had and replacing it with new, improved logic in our player controller. If you did, please subscribe and consider joining the Patreon, YouTube membership, or Discord subscriptions to help benefit the channel. It really helps me a lot, and I appreciate everyone who has, so thank you so much. If you ran into any problems following this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. I would be happy to help you out with any problems you ran into, and that support is completely free. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.